We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first Women's Giving Circle event. We are so excited to welcome everyone, and we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. We're trying to keep this at an hour, so I will get started with some introductions. My name is Jill Selby, and I work for the Georgia College Foundation, and I'm joined by Caroline Attaway and Emily Lim Bowat, who also work for the GC Foundation. And rounding out our Women's Giving Circle team is Jennifer Graham, who is the director of the Women's Center here at Georgia College. Our guest speaker for today's event, who we will hear more from later on, is Hillary Boykin-Smith, who is an alumna of Georgia College. And I also want to welcome Dr. Dorman, our president of Georgia College. Thank you for joining us tonight. As we get started, we want to let everyone know that this event is being recorded for those who cannot attend. A few pointers or reminders for using Zoom. If you wish, you can rename yourself and/or add your pronouns by hovering over the top right-hand corner of your picture until you see 3 dots. Click the dots and choose the rename option. Also, please feel free to use the chat feature throughout the event to ask a question or post a comment. We will open the floor for questions, and it will be helpful to type in any questions you would like us to answer in that chat. If you really like something someone says or want to offer some encouragement, please feel free to use the reaction buttons, which are also located at the bottom of your screen. We would love folks to leave their cameras on, but we also understand the many reasons why folks might need to have their cameras off. So please feel free to do whatever is most comfortable to you and what your bandwidth allows. Lastly, you can choose your video layout, either gallery view or speaker view, which you can select by toggling between views on the upper right-hand side of your screen. All right, so what is the Women's Giving Circle? The Georgia College Foundation and the Women's Center joined forces to establish the Women's Giving Circle in an effort to amplify collaborative giving while simultaneously empowering women and building community. So the way we will do this is by pooling funds to make impactful contributions to our campus and in our community. 100% of member contributions will go back to the university in targeted ways to areas decided on by members of the circle to support our mission. Our goals for this giving circle are to foster relationships and engagement opportunities with both students and campus initiatives while building and empowering strong women leaders. If you wish to join and become a member of the Women's Giving Circle, we ask that you make a gift of any size. All donations are greatly appreciated and will support our grant making, infrastructure, and endowment. And you can do this by going to our website, which is alumni.gcsu.edu/WGC. And all of this information will also be provided in a follow-up email for you. So Jen, I think you're gonna start us off with some polling questions.
I will. So hello, everyone. So happy to be with you all tonight. My name is Dr. Jennifer Graham, and I'm so happy to be with you all representing the Women's Center tonight. So I do have some fun kind of get to know you activities because there's a bunch of us in here, 31 to be precise. And we don't all fit on one Zoom screen, which is also very exciting. So we wanted to spend a few minutes just to get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm going to share my screen here, and it's going to bring up some poll questions for us to do together. So give me just one moment to share. And all right, here we go. Let me hit the present button here. Okay, so hopefully you all will be able to see this. So this is using a software called Poll Everywhere. So there are 2 ways for you to join into this. If you are on one device and you have another handy, you can certainly use a website. You can go to pollev.com and then this website right here. And then you can choose and input your selections. Or if you have your phone handy, we have actually found that texting in your replies works best. And so to join this poll, you can text Jennifer, GRAH343 to 37607 once, and then you'll just text in your replies. It is quite easy. And so once you do that, our first question is, where are you joining us from? We'd love to know where everybody is located tonight. And I'm going to do this too, so you all can see where I am from as well. So I'll give folks a few minutes to start putting in their responses. And so we can see where everybody is from. So it looks like we got lots of folks from Milledgeville, which is expected. Also some folks from Gray, some folks from Atlanta campus. Looks like a Los Angeles. I think person from Los Angeles, you are the winner on the furthest away. Thank you for being with us here tonight. Some folks from Macon, Augusta, Greenville. So exciting. Thank you all.
I'm the only one that's not getting through, I guess. Do you text Jennifer Graham 343?
So yeah,
That's
Jennifer,
message, and then you send it to number 37607.
yes, and it is not Olive Graham, it's just the GRA.
Right. I tried that, but I didn't get anywhere.
No.
I'll try it again.
Okay, we'll wait here a second, Robin, and see if we can get you connected with us.
Jennifer, I think your winner is Belize. You have someone from Belize.
Oh, do we have someone from Belize now? I see that.
Everyone.
Thank you, person from Belize. Who's from Belize?
I'm from Belize, Minerva. Nice to meet everyone, and so great to see Dr. Holly.
Thank you so much for being with us, Minerva.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be able to join and connect with more women.
Right? This is kind of one of the cool things about doing things on Zoom, is that we get to have folks from Los Angeles and Belize with us, which we would not be able to do probably if we were in person. So some benefits. All right. So this piece at the top is going to stay up here. So if you're having trouble joining, you will be able to keep trying. I'm going to move to the next question though. So next question, tell us who you are. So if you're responding via text, you can just type in A, B, C, or D there for whatever your answer. And let's see who we have with us tonight. So a good number of faculty and staff, it's looking like, and a healthy number of alumni. Thank you, alumni. We'll give folks a couple more seconds here. All right. Thank you all. All right, so moving on to question 3. So this may involve kind of scrolling through to see who is here, if you checked out the participants before. How many people do you know today already? As you look around the Zoom room, do you know everybody? Are there new faces? Let us know. All right, that's a good. So we've got some newer folks. Welcome. We're glad you're here. We hope that by the end of this, you will know more people and can make some really good connections with us. Some of us know a couple of folks. Some of us know a lot of people. I would imagine those are our faculty and staff who know a lot of folks. So we're glad that you are all here with us tonight. All right, so next question. Who is your ultimate female role model? So again, just type in your response there and send that to us. And let's see who all of our role models are. Mother, absolutely. Yeah. Brene Brown, Oprah, RBG, Mom. So a lot of folks, RBG is their ultimate role model. She is pretty awesome. Lots of moms and grandmothers. Yes. Yes. Awesome. We'll give this one a few more seconds. These are some really amazing role models that we all have. Oh, Robin, you got a shout out. You are somebody's ultimate female role model.
Oh, wow. That's, and I'm so incompetent, I can't even get on to do the poll.
Not incompetent, not at all, my friend. Nope.
That's very nice, whoever put that. Thank you very much.
So we are standing on the shoulders of some really amazing women who have gone before us. So these are some really phenomenal role models for us all. So our next question, this is kind of a fun one because sometimes these can be kind of boring. So we wanted to throw in something a little fun. So would you rather never, ever, ever get stopped by a red light again? Or would you never have to wait in line for anything ever again? Which would you rather? We are apparently some impatient people who don't like waiting in lines. Although I'm kind of the opinion, if you never have to wait in line again, does it also preclude having to wait at a red light? I don't know. Is that the loophole? It might be. So we've got another fun one. So we're here in Georgia. So we want to know, are you a Coke or a Pepsi fan? We're doing our home state of Georgia proud for all of us who Georgia is our home state. And we are apparently a room full of Coke supporters. So go Coca-Cola. But a decent amount of Pepsi fans too. And that Pepsi is also good. The wild cherry Pepsi especially. So, all right, let's do the next one. All right, so we have all, I am sure, been on Zoom a whole lot over the last few months. So tell us, what kind of Zoomer are you? Are you the one who's walking around the house, the one who just woke up, the one without the camera on, the one who always talks, the one who is making funny faces, or the one with PJs on the bottom? Tell us who you are. And your answers are completely anonymous. So if you're the one with PJs on the bottom, we will not know and we will not tell. So I don't know about for those of us who are faculty and staff on campus, but I think our answers might resemble our students, at least my students, in that many of us have PJs on the bottom and many of us are leaving our cameras off. So thank you all for your answers, but I'm glad to know that none of us just woke up. That is good. All right, so we will move on to our last question for the evening. We would love to know, why did you decide to join this event tonight? Did you want to learn something, so some knowledge building? Were you super excited about hearing Hillary and our speaker lineup? Were you excited to network with other people and meet new people? Or did you want to learn more just about the Women's Giving Circle? Or none of the above? Did something else bring you here tonight? Let us know. Awesome. So it looks like about a little over half of us are here because we want to learn more about the Women's Giving Circle, which is excellent. We hope that you will have this opportunity to learn more about the Women's Giving Circle. And since that's what so many people indicated that they want to learn about, let's jump into some learning more about it. So I'm going to stop screen sharing right now and I can see everybody again. So one of the ways to tell you a little bit more about the Women's Giving Circle, one of the ways in which the Women's Giving Circle is unique is in our members' ability to directly fund various different projects. In exciting news, since we launched last month, we have received $2,300 in gifts from our members. So thank you all for that. We have set a goal to reach $10,000 by the end of this academic year. So we know that that is a lofty goal, but it is one that we also feel is totally achievable and that we can do. As I mentioned, members of the Women's Giving Circle are going to be able to direct funds back to support different initiatives on campus. And so we wanted to be able to give people an opportunity to kind of kickstart that giving cycle. So this first giving cycle, we have solicited for different funding proposals from places across campus. And our goal is to meet at least twice a year to gather in community with one another, to learn and grow together, and to learn about the different funding proposals submitted to the Women's Giving Circle. Voting will be available to all members of the Women's Giving Circle, and members, you will have an email in your inbox within the next, hopefully by tomorrow, with a link to that voting form. So that you can indicate and tell us, what do you want to see funded of the different submitted funding proposals for this year? Throughout the year, we also are going to be letting you know about various events that are coming up on campus, such as an invitation to attend our Women's Leadership Conference that is sponsored by the Women's Center Leadership Programs, the College of Business, and the University Advancement, as well as opportunities to network with other women leaders and other speaking and mentoring opportunities with students, which we're really excited about growing. So for this voting season, we had 3 different proposals that were submitted to the Women's Giving Circle for funding. And in the email that you will be receiving with the voting form, there will be more information about each of these different projects, as well as their budget and what they've requested. But to tell folks briefly about each of these 3 projects, the first one is Clothesline Project. So Clothesline Project is an annual awareness campaign that gives voice to survivors of sexual assault and other forms of power-based interpersonal violence, like domestic violence or stalking, or child abuse. And in the 17 years that Clothesline Project has been a part of our Georgia College community, we've had campus community members make over 900 shirts. Each of those shirts tells a story and offers the survivor a voice and a chance to tell about their experience and know that they're not alone in that. And so Clothesline Project through Project Brave is requesting support to purchase some new supplies. Some of the clotheslines, bins, and other supplies that they are using are the same ones that they purchased 17 years ago. And some of those supplies are starting to wear out. And so they are requesting $250 of support to buy new paint, t-shirts that are maybe in colors that aren't often donated from folks, and other needed supplies like new clotheslines and some of those sorts of things. So that's the first funding proposal that's been put in. The second funding proposal is for the Creating Change Conference. Creating Change is an annual leadership conference for LGBTQ+ students. At Georgia College, our LGBTQ+ programs office takes a team of LGBTQ+ leaders, including members of their student staff, as well as members of the Executive Board of Pride Alliance. And this conference is designed to equip student leaders specifically around inclusion, to foster personal leadership skills, and for those students to increase in their self-knowledge. This in-depth leadership experience allows our students to return and pass on the wonderful leadership skills and knowledge that they've learned to other student leaders on campus. So LGBTQ+ programs is requesting $400 in support this year to help pay for student registration fees. They are expecting that those dollars may be able to stretch a little bit further this year than in years past, due to the completely virtual nature of the conference this year. So normally they tell us that registration fees are $200 per student, but this year they're still waiting to hear what those registration fees are going to be. So a $400 gift to them would at least fund 2 student registrations and possibly more. The third funding request that we have received this year is for the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders, lovingly called Nick Whistle. Nick Whistle is a national women's leadership conference sponsored by the American Association of University Women. And it is a place for students to educate themselves about today's most pressing issues, to develop leadership skills and expand on the skills that are in their current kind of tool belt, and make lifelong connections with peers across the country. Students who attend Nick Whistle will have the opportunity to hear from key women leaders across the nation, attend breakout sessions, and engage in meaningful networking And usually when this conference happens, it's in Washington, D.C. So they also have a chance to visit and experience Washington, D.C. And then the Women's Center is seeking $400 in support to send one or more students to Nick Whistle this year. We are not sure whether this conference is going to be in DC this year or whether it will be virtual. So we're still waiting to hear whether that will be able to just fund one student or perhaps multiple students. So a little bit about the 3 funding proposals that we have received this year. And at this point, I am going to turn things over to Emily. So take it from there, Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Lim Bowat, and I'm the Development Officer assigned to the College of Health Science. And at this time, we will open up the floor for any questions and open discussion. Please post any questions that you have in the chat using the option at the bottom of your screen. So any questions? Jennifer can elaborate on all the other proposals that were put forth. Did you all have any questions about the Women's Giving Circle?
I do have a question, Jennifer. So are we looking, so when we serve or fill out, right, the survey and the voting link, are we looking at any one cycle to fund one project or multiple, or will that just depend on the funding throughout the year?
I'll jump into this one, and then other committee members feel free to either correct me or add to. I think that, you know, we're hoping to have 2 funding cycles right now a year. This one, you know, we've raised, I think, $2,300, I said, so we have that amount to donate back to these different initiatives, but we don't necessarily have to use all of those dollars. So if we wanted to save some and let that continue to build as we work towards that 10,000, that's absolutely fine. One of the reasons that we would like to raise the 10,000 is so that we can endow this and have some sustainability of the fund into the future. But we also want to be giving back along the way. You know, so the 3 proposals that were submitted this year are ones that are small enough that there could potentially be all of them funded, but they don't necessarily, like, there's wiggle room there, right? And so on that voting form for our members, you will be able to decide, which of these, if any, would you like to see funded? And then you'll also be able to give input on how much funding should they receive. So you'll see a fuller breakdown of the budgets that they've requested, and then be able to kind of give your input on how much do you think they should get. And so, you know, we can kind of stretch or constrict that as much as we as a giving circle would like to do. Some questions that I am seeing is we've got some around how many giving cycles there are. So we're right now hoping to have 2 giving cycles a year. Hopefully as our fund grows more, we'll be able to have more giving cycles in a year. But for now, we felt that a semi-annual kind of giving cycle would be a good starting point. How do you make a gift? That is an excellent question. You can, and if one of my colleagues has the link, if you could drop it in the chat, if you have it handy, I do not. But there is a website where you can join and make a gift right there through University Advancement's page, and that there, thank you, Jill, there is that link. So feel free to make a gift there. Another question around, is there a cap on the funding request? What are the parameters for funding requests? That is a great question. So we sent out a request for funding proposals this year to our current members for them to either put in a request themselves or to pass that on to other connected GC community members that they felt had worthy projects to fund. And there are some things around having a connection to Georgia College. Currently, you know, we let folks know that we have about a max of 500 per project that we could potentially fund, just as we are growing. And so those are some of the parameters. I am happy to share that form if folks would like to see that. That will be an addition onto our website in the future, so that folks can see that and can be dropping in applications kind of all along the way. And I'm going to toss it back to you.
There's another question, Jen. Does the voting form include a priority ranking of all the submitted proposals?
It does not at this point, but that is a great suggestion, and we could certainly do that in the future.
Any other questions before we move along? Well, I'm going to send on to Caroline, my colleague, that will announce our guest speaker tonight.
Hey everyone, my name is Caroline Attaway. I'm a proud alum from the class of 2017, and I work in the advancement office at Georgia College. I'm so excited to introduce our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker is also an alum from the class of 2014, Hillary Boykin-Smith. Hillary graduated with a psychology degree, and then she went on to Mercer University and earned her master's degree in clinical mental health counseling back in 2017 as well. So she is now an associate professional counselor and nationally certified counselor with HEAL ATL, serving adults ages 18 and up. We are just so grateful for her, y'all. I haven't met someone who brings so much joy to a Zoom call before. So you guys are in for a treat, and Hillary, I'll let you take the floor. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline. No, I'm so excited to be with y'all tonight. So thank you for having me. Okay, I am gonna, if you'll give me a second to pull up my PowerPoint here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to be spending some time talking to y'all tonight about self-esteem and body image. As a group of women, this is obviously going to be geared towards those specific concepts for us as women. And Caroline already gave a nice intro for me, but so as she said, I'm Hillary Boykin-Smith. I'm a therapist in Atlanta, but the good news is that now with everything being virtual, I am able to see anyone who lives in the state of Georgia. So if you know anyone in Milledgeville who needs a therapist and feels like they are searching for someone who's the right fit and they're not finding that in Milledgeville, then they can actually see me here in Atlanta virtually. So one good thing about COVID. Okay, so a couple different goals as we go through this today. The first is just going to be able to understand the impact that body image makes on our self-esteem, how it contributes to low self-esteem if you have poor body image, and secondly, learning how to develop a healthier body image and thus a healthier self-esteem. So before I really jump in here, I want to go over some vocabulary so that I'm going to be using this throughout the presentation. So the first is diet culture or beauty culture. I'll use those interchangeably. And that is a belief system that focuses on and values weight, shape, and size over well-being. Then there is the beauty myth, which is the idea that beauty, and then even more specifically, that being attractive to men is the key to a woman's happiness. Then we've got self-esteem, which basically is just the general opinion that we carry around our worth as a person. And finally, body image, which is a portion of our self-esteem that is related to appearance. Okay, so when it comes to self-esteem, we all probably know instinctively that things are different for men and women. And there's many components of self-esteem, like your age or your childhood experiences. But for men, the biggest trigger for shame or feeling not good enough tends to be around their job or their salary. Whereas for women, it's around our appearance. So much so that it's estimated that about 1/3 of our overall self-esteem comes from our body image. So we can't really talk about self-esteem in women without having a larger conversation around body image. And our concern for our appearance is so hardwired into us that you may have never even thought to really question that. So I want to give y'all that opportunity today. Ask yourself why you want to be beautiful or attractive. Just kind of think about that. So in her book, Beyond Beautiful, Anushka Rees says, I don't need to have met you in person to know that you don't have an intrinsic desire to achieve physical perfection for its own sake, but that you want what everyone wants, to feel worthy, happy, and loved. And just like every other woman out there, you've simply been taught that being attractive is your best chance of getting there. So think about that. Think about all the time, money, and energy that you've spent on diets or on Botox or on the latest, greatest outfits. And think about if they really made you happier. And if they did, for how long? How long did it take before you needed something else to feel confident? Now, when it's in those terms, it may become clear that chasing those beauty ideals never meets our real need. Now, it's not to say that it's bad to get your hair done or to spend money on clothes, but it does mean that we need to take a closer look into why we do those things. So first, consider the amount of time that you spend thinking about your body or calories. How much happier would you be? How much more could you accomplish if that space was filled with your passions? Those things that you were destined to contribute to the world. Talents just waiting to be cultivated. And while we're questioning those things, we also have to consider why we're socialized as women to be so focused on our appearance when men are socialized to focus on their career. I think Naomi Wolf answers this well in her book, The Beauty Myth, where she states, a culture fixated on female thinness is not an obsession about female beauty, but an obsession about female obedience. Dieting is the most potent political sedative in women's history. So think about that from your own personal experience. Can you think of opportunities that you've passed up because of low self-esteem? Opportunities to lead, to influence, to be present, or even just to enjoy. Christy Harrison, the author of The Anti-Diet, says, it's hard to smash the patriarchy with an empty stomach and a head full of body concerns. And that's exactly the point. And that begins to make even more sense when we think about the message of diet culture. Be smaller, take up less space. Now, many of you are probably accomplished, progressive women, and if I told you to take up less space in any other context, you'd probably be furious. So why do we allow the same message when it comes to our bodies? And if a third of our self-esteem comes from body image, and our body image is based on the message of being smaller, is it really possible that that message isn't seeping into other places? So we see the 1/3 fraction show up in two other important places for women, aging and body fat. A woman will live at least 1/3 of her life with signs of aging, and roughly 1/3 of a woman's body is fat. Now, both aging and fat have become marketed as undesirable conditions that must be fixed so that women can only feel physically acceptable when we're living as 2/3 of ourselves. So imagine the way that impacts how you show up in the world. Whether it's body image, aging, or body fat, beauty culture is trying to reduce you to 2/3 of a woman. And this reduction is not an accident. The beauty industry depends on your insecurity. Satisfaction does not breed profit, and with $532 billion at stake, the industry is incentivized to create a need that isn't there. There's no real problem with any woman's appearance that wasn't created for profit. This industry is actively warping our self-image because without our dissatisfaction, their industry is rendered useless. The implications they give is that when we chase the beauty ideal, we're being our best selves or that we're worth it. Conversely, if we do not chase beauty or thinness, we're considered to be letting ourselves go. And as the beauty industry grows and as cosmetic procedures become more commonplace, it becomes harder and harder to resist conforming. And the idea of what's considered normal becomes less and less clear. A new challenge for women has come in the form of the body positive movement. Now, on the surface, this may seem like a good thing, and it may even be well intended, but it unfortunately misses the mark. The body positive movement has created progress in giving beauty multiple avenues, but at its core, it still perpetuates the beauty myth that you must consider yourself beautiful in order to be happy. That means being told we should embrace our wrinkles, our love handles, and our cellulite. All the while, this is a direct contradiction to the nipped, tucked, and photoshopped bodies on Instagram that we're constantly exposed to, and the countless ads that we endure that tell us our happiness lies in the next bottle of wrinkle cream. How else could we love ourselves if we don't feel beautiful? And again, there's nothing wrong with feeling beautiful, but it is not the key to our happiness. Now, we cannot shame women who spend their dollars chasing these beauty ideals. Our culture rewards that chase, and it's understandable that we play the game. And I'm no exception there. But the real issue is not a matter of makeup or no makeup, or Botox or no Botox. The real issue is feeling like we do not have a choice. We need to be able to choose a reality where our bodies are a neutral subject, where our physical flaws don't need to be changed, nor do they need to be considered beautiful, because they're instead considered irrelevant. To choose a reality where we can be seen as multifaceted people whose appearance is only a minor and uninteresting detail. And to know that our greatest contribution to this world should not be perfect skin or hair. So again, I say we do not want to be beautiful for its own sake. We want love and connection. We want to leave legacies bigger than our appearance. We want to be a voice, not a body. So how do we go about getting what we want? Like our bodies, the answer is not one size fits all. Diet culture is made up of complicated cultural agendas like whitewashing, heterosexual dominance, and inequality. But there are two keys to this equation that you can begin to use today to make a difference: self-compassion and acceptance. Now, if you've lived your life in comparison and shame, these may feel like foreign concepts. So how do you go about cultivating self-compassion and acceptance? First, start with the understanding of what you really need. The next time you're about to whip out your credit card to buy some trendy detox off Instagram, ask yourself what you were just feeling and needing. We don't need to lose 5 pounds, but we do need to feel loved and accepted. So I want to do a little experiential technique with y'all, if you will join me, to show you how you can practice bringing in acceptance in moments like that. So go ahead and place your dominant hand over your heart and your non-dominant hand on your stomach, and close your eyes and take a big, deep breath. Imagine how you would feel if you felt accepted just as you are. Imagine being seen and known. What would that feel like in your body? Imagine the feeling. When was there a time you felt that before? Imagine that moment and what it felt like. Call that feeling into your body. Maybe you're on a stage. Maybe you're being held by a loved one. Whatever represents this for you, just visualize that image and call that feeling of acceptance in. Okay, taking another big deep breath. And as you exhale, you can open your eyes. Okay, so notice how you felt. And we only did this for a minute, but You might want to try doing that for a longer amount of time, because most people find that they feel calmer. They feel like that need might have even been met. So that's a great technique to use in those moments where the beauty myth is really strong and you have an urge to chase beauty in order to get your needs met. Okay, so that's one thing that you can use. Next, you want to practice gratitude and appreciation for your body every day for things that are not appearance-based. So be thinking about, what does your body allow you to do that you're grateful for? So for example, my legs are so strong, or I'm thankful for my arms that allow me to hold my loved ones. I'm grateful for eyes that allow me to see the beauty of the world around me. Or I'm thankful for lungs that breathe without me having to think about it. Now, if you have children, it's of the utmost importance to talk about your body this way in front of them. Children learn by listening and watching, so by criticizing your own body, you're ensuring that they will too. When we say, I look so fat in that picture, or when we evaluate the appearance of the people on our TV screens, we're teaching our children that bodies are to be objectified, that they're open for evaluation and criticism. Now, if you've engaged in this kind of talk in front of your children, it's not too late. Just talk to them about what you learned today and begin to make a change towards acceptance and appreciation of your bodies together. Next, you want to practice looking at yourself as a whole person. So what are the qualities that you appreciate in yourself? What values do you uphold? What gifts do you possess? Then you also want to unfollow toxic people on social media, because influencers who constantly talk about diets or plastic surgery and appearance, they will affect your view of yourself, and not in a good way. Think about adding things to your life rather than taking things away. So instead of investing your time and money into taking away your acne, your wrinkles, or your fat, invest in things that add to your life. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Donate to a worthy charity. Develop a new skill, or cultivate a talent. Use your dollars to contribute something of value to yourself and to the world. Take care of your body by being kind to it. So feed it when it's hungry. Dress in comfortable clothing. Give it movement and rest when it needs it. Examine your choice. When it comes to beauty culture, we have the choice to either conform to it or reject it. Now, rejecting it does not mean abandoning makeup and grooming. It simply means challenging the belief that those things are the key to your worth and happiness. That means that you will have to regularly practice nonconformity for these ideals. So experiment by going out without putting concealer over a pimple, or wear shorts that expose your cellulite, and notice how you feel when you do this. The more you expose yourself to those fears, the less and less power they will have over you. And the exposure teaches your brain that you can exist in the world just as you are. Finally, I recommend finding a quote that really speaks to you, and having this quote in your back pocket can kind of snap you back to reality in those moments where the pressure feels high. So for me, I use a quote from Sue Monk Kidd's The Book of Longings, which says, "Bless the largeness inside me, no matter how I fear it. When I am dust, sing these words over my bones. She was a voice." So thank you for allowing me to be a voice today. And I challenge all of you to see the largeness in yourselves. Thank you. Okay, and I'm gonna look at the chat feature too to see if we have any questions. And as I'm doing that, if anyone does have any questions, send them my way. Hi, Dr. Danny. I'll mute myself while y'all submit anything.
I just want to add, Hillary, I feel like you gave us great insight too on what maybe a lot of younger women struggle with, such as our students. Having graduated just 3 years ago, being a student athlete, and just like transitioning from being in the best shape of my life, it's still quite a struggle. So I think everything you said helps us keep in mind what potentially a lot of our students could be struggling with if we're not personally struggling as much as maybe some others on the topic. So thank you.
Especially too with the strange reality we're all living in, and I'm sure everybody's kind of feeling and experiencing some emotions that maybe they've never felt before. So this was great, and just thank you so much, Hillary, for being here and sharing that with us. If anybody has any questions that you don't want to ask on this platform, you can also reach out to Hillary or one of us. You can email or call. We can also get you her contact information. She could put it back on the screen or just share it in the chat, whatever works. But, oh, you sharing your screen?
Email, yeah.
Okay.
So if y'all use Instagram, I have a professional account, Heal with Hill, where I do a lot of psychoeducational stuff, and I provide different techniques for coping with anxiety, things like that. So if that's something that you're at all interested in, you can follow me on there. And that's my email if you need, or if you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable asking to the group, I'm happy to talk with y'all after.
I think you have a question in the chat, Hillary. Did you see that? Could you again clarify the difference? Oops.
Whoops. There we go.
The difference between presentation and beauty.
Emily, clarify what you're asking for me. Presentation and beauty.
Yeah, hi. Because when I mean presentation and beauty, I think, well, from what I perceive those two like words is that they're sort of like they sort of go hand in hand. So how do you like balance beauty and presentation? Because I noticed that when you look pretty, you're more likely treated like nicely or differently. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yes. I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, that's a great question. I see what you're asking now. You mean like how you present yourself to the world?
Yeah, like when I wear makeup, I'm treated differently than when I don't. And I was wondering, how do you balance those two out like in a healthy way? Because I know sometimes the beauty can like overtake it. Yeah.
That's a great question, because you're exactly right. And that's sort of a piece of why this is so challenging, is that the beauty myth is alive and well, and beauty culture is alive and well, where our culture does reward measuring up to whatever the current beauty ideal is. So, I mean, I have on makeup right now. I wanted to feel professional giving a talk tonight. And so there's definitely nothing wrong with makeup. I think to answer what you're asking is more about like when you're putting it on, think about why that is, and think about turning that back to yourself and making it for you, where it's not, it's a fine line, right? Because part of why it's for you might be because you want to get treated differently, but it's that constant reminder that you don't have to put on makeup. You don't have to cover up a pimple, right? That you are worthy and good enough just as you are, with or without makeup, and making the choice to decide that day which one you want to do, but not feeling obligated to do something because you'd only be considered acceptable if you did that thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's like on the surface, the behavior may even look the same. You might wear the same clothes, wear the same makeup, have the same skincare routine, but under the surface, the reasons why you're doing those things can shift dramatically and make a really big impact on how you view yourself.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Is that all for the questions? Thank you for asking those, Emily.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'm sorry, I do have one more question, I swear.
Okay.
So what country do you think has the exemplifies this the best of like not pressuring women to feel obligated to look beautiful like in the conventional way?
That's a really good question. And I don't know that I have a specific answer. I will say that data is starting to show that it's getting worse, not better, as countries are developing and everyone has access to the internet and social media. Those expectations of women are becoming more and more commonplace, not just for the United States. And so I don't have an answer as to like which country is doing the best job at this. But that's a good question to ask. But I will say that social media and the internet is not having a positive influence on that. If anything, it's having a more negative influence. And to add to that, just taking control over your feed is a really empowering thing to do. It can make a dramatic difference to follow and unfollow people who you're paying attention to, how it makes you feel when you're seeing their content. And if it's constantly upsetting you or constantly triggering that beauty myth response where you're like, oh gosh, I got to go lose 5 pounds, or I got to go get Botox, whatever it is. If you're noticing that consistently, unfollow that person. You will be so much better off.
All right, do we have any more questions for Hillary?
Hillary, I put one in the chat privately to you if you want to. Now I'm sort of saying what it is, but you're welcome to share it with everybody. It's fine.
And that's from Jennifer. Okay, do you mind if I read it out loud? Okay, so Jennifer asked, have you ever heard the term granola girl? I don't wear makeup and was called this once. Yeah, I have heard that term. And I don't know how it made you feel when you were called that.
It was fun. It was my chiropractor 20 years ago or so, or maybe 15. And his wife doesn't wear makeup or anything. And so he was basically saying like, yeah, you know, you feel comfortable just like you are. And so, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's an inherently insulting term. But it does kind of highlight the fact that there's a term for not wearing makeup, you know, sort of says a lot about what we're expected to be and do.
Yeah. And then I shared with Jennifer Graham that I put lip gloss on just for.
Did you? Well, I'll say, I know that I've noticed that Zoom has been sort of a little petri dish for watching this happen, where women tend to still kind of put themselves together, whatever that means. And most guys just hop on with like a baseball hat and messy hair. And I'm just like, well, there it is right there. There it is. Yeah.
So true.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing any more in the chat, so.
All right, well, thank you so much, Hillary, again. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the first event and feel empowered to join the circle and help make a difference in our community. As a reminder, like Jen did mention, we will be sending out a voting form within the next few days to your email, where you can cast your vote for our first gift designation. This form will have additional details and all the information Jen shared about each option. So of course, that's a lot to remember. So it will all be there. Thank you all again for your time and your participation tonight. We're so grateful for each and every one of you, and we look forward to our next event. We'll be keeping everyone up to date on all future events and news via email, so be on the lookout for those. And if there's no more comments, questions, or anything, just thank you all again and have a great evening and rest of your week. We appreciate you guys for coming and joining us tonight virtually.
Yeah, I did see, Jill, one question that was in the chat